Let's go right now to our royal correspondent Rupert Bell, who joins us to talk about Prince Andrew and Prince Harry, always in the news for the wrong reasons. Good morning to you.
Morning, Julia.
Thank you very much for joining us. Let's start with Prince Andrew, because reports are claiming that Prince Andrew is going to be not only thrown out of his Grace and Favour mansion, the Royal Lodge, a huge big lodge near Windsor, but he's also lost his security team. And this is all at the behest of King Charles.
So he's got a lease on the Royal Lodge that lasts till 2079, I think. But what the King is saying, and so it's always been a bit of a bone of contention, how do I get him out there, says the King. Well, the security may be the way that will be the leverage that Andrew finally realises perhaps is impractical, given that he's got no known source of income now that he's no longer a working royal, that he can realise that he perhaps would be better off in somewhere like Frogmore Cottage. But the one thing we know about Prince Andrew, he's not one who likes to be told what to do.
No, but also he doesn't want to have to leave a very big, grand house with many, many rooms. He's a very grand sort of... he's a very pompous man, we know, as well as being, you know, let's face it, a wrong 'un. He doesn't want to go off to Frogmore Cottage, so he would consider that to be very beneath his dignity, wouldn't he? Is this beginning to look a bit vindictive from his older brother?
Well, I suppose you could say that, but I think he's been permanently frustrated with him, and one of the King's mantras is, I need to make the royal family seem cost effective. And he's probably thinking, well, I shouldn't be bankrolling my brother to the tune of however many millions it is for his security detail. I can make it work slightly better if he has the good grace to move to a smaller house. And is downsizing for someone living in a 30-room house with his ex-wife living in probably one wing, is it not sensible? His children have flown the nest. They've got family of their own. Perhaps it might be sensible, given that he's no longer a working royal. But
I mean, I'm wondering whether he's going to need to claim the winter fuel allowance, whether he'd be eligible for it or not. I have to say, given his age and the like. But look, let's talk about a younger royal. Of course, you mentioned Frogmore Cottage. That was, of course, refurbished at great expense, paid back then by Prince Harry and Meghan. They've been on this pseudo-royal tour of Colombia. No one knows why Colombia, especially talking of security, as apparently London is far too unsafe for him to bring Meghan and his kids to. But he's gone off to Colombia, where people are routinely kidnapped and held at gunpoint. But apparently, there you are. But he's faced calls for him as a representative of the royal family, whether he likes it or not, to apologise for Britain's role in the slave trade.
Well, it's an easy thing to have a go and say, do that. You know, even Harry, I don't think, would go that far and suddenly take it upon himself to apologise on behalf of the royal family. He may be on a royal visit, but even he, I think, realises that may be just a step too far. And talking of security detail, this trip to Colombia, well, they've had to get so much security to make sure that he's safe. It does look like he's basically been playing second fiddle to Meghan. It's all about the Meghan show. And whilst that would be, Meghan probably wouldn't want him to hog the limelight by apologising for what might be perceived misdemeanours, because this has been the Meghan show with Harry stuck to her like a limpet. So it's at times, I'm sure there may have been some good intentions, but I'm really not sure what this royal tour was all about.
I've no idea what the good intentions are. It's just random, isn't it? Isn't it just sort of tourism publicity for Colombia? Get the royals there. I bet you anything they've been paid to go and do this. I mean, it's quite bizarre. But the things I find with the slave trade is I don't understand why anybody, any government or any individual, certainly member of the royal family, should have to apologise for stuff that happened hundreds of years ago they weren't responsible for. And when are people going to say thank you very much for the huge cost to the British taxpayer of ending the slave trade? Money very well spent, by the way. But I just find it extraordinary people still go on about this. It's like the idea that anybody living in Colombia right now, this has a direct impact on their lives, is an absolute load of nonsense. It's hogwash. Anyway, Rupert, thank you very much indeed. Talking about the two wrong-uns for two very different reasons, of course, in the royal family. Prince Andrew, very much the wrong-un in that case.